Luka Vuskovic. Also, Barcelona weighing up a move for Bradley Barcola. And finally, Nathan Acke is still an option for Barcelona. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Bo. Welcome to the Barca News live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but we also get to interact with you lovely people, my Barca News family, in the chat section by reading your comments and reacting to them live. So start filling out that chat section with your comments, your questions, anything you want to say, put it in there so we can get this going. Now, for those of you who'll be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion and get straight into the news. Having said all of that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. All of this helps the channel continue to grow. If you're looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you hit the kit bag for your Barca gear and any football-related gear. Or Fanatics if you want any sports-related gear like basketball, NBA, baseball, whatever. Like basketball and NBA, it's the same thing. Well, not really the same thing. You know what I mean. And if you want to place sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links down below in the description. You click on them, you get access to some pretty cool deals and offers, courtesy of Barca News. All right, let's begin with the news. And the first segment of news is comprised of multiple bits of news combined together for the sake of brevity, starting with that Barcelona have opened a disciplinary file against 1,000 socios for the transfer of their tickets. Now, as you know, Barcelona, well, it's a club owned by its socios. You can become a soci online, or you can go in person to the office. And as a soci, you become part member of the club. You can vote. And another benefit that you have as a soci is, of course, season tickets. And not only can you get season tickets, you can also get access to tickets in general before the general public. And there's even matches when there's high demand where the only people who can buy the tickets are the socios to begin with. So as a soci, you have this great benefit. Now, for season tickets, it's a list that expands for years. You can put your name on your list to be able to buy season tickets, but it's almost impossible because Barcelona have 100,000 socios, and while right now the Camp Nou can only seat 62,000. So if you want season tickets, you got to put your name, and you might end up waiting years before you even get your access to the season tickets. So it's definitely a big privilege that socios have. Again, you cannot get season tickets if you're not a soci. You can now buy tickets ahead of anyone else if you're not a soci. And some matches, you can only buy tickets if you're a soci. So, big privilege. And, well, a lot of times, these socios, well, they take advantage of this privilege and they violate the trust that the club puts in them when they give them access to these tickets over other socios that are also waiting. Because what they do is, well, they buy the tickets at their soci price, and then they turn around and sell them to opposing fans at much expensive price, using their position as socios to their own benefit, to their own monetary benefit, right? We saw that remember that Europa League match against Eintracht Frankfurt, where more than 30,000 German fans made their way into the Camp Nou, and it pretty much looked like we were playing an away match. I mean, the stadium was all white because it was all fans, Eintracht fans with Eintracht kits, right? And a lot of those, well, most of those fans, right? Because I think by UEFA rules, I think you can only sell tickets to 4,000 or 5,000 away fans, but instead it was more than 30,000. And the way those fans were able to get those tickets is from socios who had season tickets and decided to sell their tickets to Eintracht fans for, double, triple, quadruple the price in order to make money. And as a result, they ended up affecting the team, because the team was playing an away match pretty much in their own stadium. And they even put the security of other Barca fans and other Barca associates at risk because, as you might recall, those Eintracht fans got crazy. They were throwing trash at the Barca fans. They were peeing from the stands. I mean, there was a lot of security concerns. So now Barcelona have opened disciplinary investigation into 1,000 socios who have sold their tickets to opposing team fans. And, well, once this investigation is over, these socios will face repercussions, including expulsion from the club as socios. And for that, I applaud the club 1,000,000%. Because, like I said, there's a very long wait list to get season tickets. And these assholes are then taking advantage of the fact that they already have access to these season tickets. Many of them inherited from their parents or their grandparents to make money. So, you don't deserve the privilege. So, fuck you. And I really hope that these socios get their membership stripped away for doing what they're doing. Now, speaking of the Camp Nou, we do have great news because, as you know, in 2 days, well, more like a day and a half, we do have the long-awaited El Clasico match against Real penalties. Someone yesterday commented, "Can you stop calling them Real penalties? It's hard to watch your videos." Go fuck yourself. Anyways, Real penalties, right around the corner. El Clasico match where Barcelona could make history. We could win La Liga against Real penalties for the first time in history at our own stadium, at the Camp Nou. And of course, given how high profile this match is, well, the tickets have already sold out, even though they have cost record high amounts. But as a result of these record high prices and the high demand for this high profile match, Barcelona are set to make 15 million euros from El Clasico match, which is absolutely insane. That is a lot of money just from one match. And not only is this good news because that's 15 million euros that Barcelona's going to make in one day, but this is also great news because this is a forecast into the future of what the Camp Nou is going to be able to generate. Because let's not forget, right now, only the first two rings are open to the public, right? The third ring is still being built. The VIP boxes are still being built. And eventually, the capacity of the stadium will be 105. So if at 60,000, we can make 15 million off one match at full capacity, we might be able to make 30 million. Now, let's not forget, this is El Clasico match, so that's not going to be always the case, right? El Clasico ticket is not going to sell the same as Barca versus, I don't know, fucking Getafe, right? However, there are several big matches that Barcelona end up playing in a season between La Liga, Champions League, right? Matches against Atletico Madrid, for example. Those are big matches that sell out quick for a lot of money. Champions League matches against big teams like Bayern, PSG, Man City, teams like that. Those are matches where they end up selling for a lot of money and they end up selling out. So let's assume Barca play five high-profile matches all season, right? El Clasico type matches. And you make 30 million off each one. You're talking about 150 million euros just from 5 or 6 matches in one season. That's not to count the remainder of the matches that are not as high profile, Copa del Rey matches, you name it, you name it. In other words, the Camp Nou will be a money printing machine. And that, of course, is going to go a long, long way to help Barcelona come out of its financial hole and, of course, help us become, once again, financially stable and hopefully be able to bring more signings. Now, the last thing I want to discuss during this first segment is Gabi's statements, because Gabi was asked about the upcoming El Clasico match, and his statements were a pretty cool look into what the locker room mood is right now, or what the state of the locker room is, because this is what Gabi said about El Clasico. We want to win. We're really looking forward to El Clasico and to winning the title. We want to win every remaining game, and hopefully we can reach 100 points because that would be an amazing season. We always want more. We want 100 points, something that has only been done once or twice. And this is amazing because, look, El Clasico match, of course the team is going to come out motivated. It's El Clasico, right? They're always going to be motivated for a Clasico match. Not to mention, this is the chance for Barcelona to win La Liga. So, of course, they're going to be motivated. But, of course, the difficult thing will be afterwards. Because what happens if Barcelona win the Clasico and become champions? Is the team going to still be motivated against Alaves, against Real Betis, against Valencia? I mean, what's the point? These are not big rivals. You're already champion. But no, here's Gabi telling you that they actually do want to win those matches because even if we win La Liga against Real Madrid, we can still make history by winning the remainder of the matches because, of course, if we win the 4 remaining matches that we have in the season, Barcelona will reach 100 points, and that has only been done twice in the history of La Liga. Once that was Real Madrid's, Jose Mourinho's Real Madrid, and after that, Tito Villanova's Barcelona. May he rest in peace. So there's just a great insight on how hungry this locker room is for greatness. They don't just want to beat Madrid. They don't just want to be champions of La Liga. They want to win every single remaining match. They want to reach the 100 points. They want to make history. And that, to me, is a very beautiful and exciting thing because we could be making double history, right? Because if we beat Madrid and become champions, that's history right there. We've never done that. We've never beat Madrid and become champions by beating them in our stadium after it had just reopened, right? We've never done that. That would be history. But then if we reach 100 points, that's another historical moment. So very excited for these remaining 4 matches because we could witness history in the making. All right, let's start with the comments section. And we're then going to talk about Luka Vaskovic, which I know a lot of you like. And a lot of you keep telling me, Mo, Barca should sign Luka Vuskovic. And we're going to talk about that. Sid, who says, how do you doing, Mo? I know we always talk about news on here, but I just want to take this moment to ask how you and your family are doing. Well, I appreciate, my friend. I appreciate that. Me and my family are doing great. I was just talking to my mom the other day. You know, my family doesn't live here. My family lives all in Vegas. I live here by myself. Side of my mom, everybody's great. Just my little sister might need surgery, which sucks because she's pretty young for the surgery that they're trying to do on her. But she's still going to go see the specialist first. Hopefully she doesn't need to, but it's looking like she might. And it's back surgery, which at her age is very young. She's 26 years old. It's a pretty crappy thing. But we'll see what happens. So keep her in your prayers. But I appreciate the question, my friend. I hope you and your family are doing great. I hope all of you, my Barca News family, are doing great, and your families are doing great as well. And Money God says, haven't watched bro live in a minute. What's up, bro? Biscal Barça, vamos. Well, welcome back, my friend, Biscal Barça, and it's good to have you back. I hope you join us more often. And MFA Scully says, hi, Mo, watching all the way from Dominica. Let's go. And Spooky, who says, would you take Dembele back at Barca? He has 2 years left on his contract. Probably not. Because I feel, and I know this might sound petty. This is not, sport-wise, obviously, you want Dembele back because look at what he's doing. But on a personal level, no. It was such a bad time with Dembele. He was at the club, 5-6 years. Spent the whole time injured. We spent so much money signing him, so much money on his salary and bonuses and all that. And we got nothing to show for it. Not to mention the way he left. Xabi putting his neck out for him, only for him to just tell us, yeah, I'm staying. Just keep lying and lying. Meanwhile, Musa Sissoko was offering him all over Europe. Nobody wanted him. So then he renews. And then again, Barcelona trying to renew again. Again, he keeps lying to us. And this time, he actually ends up leaving because now PSG wanted him. And then, it was just a bad experience after bad experience after bad experience. And honestly, Dembele just left such a sour taste. I feel in most of Barcelona's fans, for most Barcelona fans. So no, I wouldn't want to see him. No, fuck Dembele. I hope to never see him back at Barca. Let's see. Let me see what else. Justice Boyo says, hello Mo, Justice Boyo from the Gambia. How far is Barcelona from reaching the 1-1 rule? Financial fair play to be able to spend money on player signing and registration. I made a video. There's 4 things that Barcelona need to meet to reach the 1-1 rule. One of them just been met, which is the sale of Ansu Fati. Well, it's not complete, but it's set to be completed. If you want to watch, if you want to know the rest of those, check out the video on the channel. I go into detail step by step. I don't want to be repetitive and take time in explaining something that probably a lot of people have already read about it or heard about it. Ogbonaya says, Mo, why aren't we going for Mika Götze again? So the reason why Deco is not going for Mika Götze is because he wants someone with more experience, right? Even though he recognizes that Mika Götze has a lot of potential, a very skilled player, he believes that we need someone with more experience. Mika Götze has only played in the Dutch league, which, with all due respect to the Dutch league, it's obviously much lower intensity and level and skill level than La Liga. So he wants someone with more skills, right? More experience that can have a bigger impact. Because right now, Barcelona are not looking for players that can just shine in La Liga, right? We have that. We have a team that can dominate in Spain. We have been this past 2 seasons. We now need to look at the next step players, the players who can give us or help us get Champions League glory. And Mika Götze might be there one day. He might be a winger that one day can take his team to Champions League glory. But right now he's not, right? And that's why Deco is ruling out Mika Götze. Now remember, this doesn't have to be final. Deco is set to meet with Hansi Flick to discuss the planning of the squad next season. And Hansi Flick has said, I don't want to have that meeting because right now I'm not focused on next season. Right now I'm focused on winning La Liga. So if Hansi Flick wins La Liga on Sunday against Real Penalties, then Hansi Flick will sit down with Deco to have a meeting, and you never know. Maybe during that meeting, Flick says, hey, we should reconsider our decision on Mika Götze. Or maybe he says, Deco, you're right. That guy doesn't have experience. Let's move on. We'll have to wait and see. But that's why. It's an experience thing. And Blaurana X says, yo, Mo, I'm really looking forward towards Hamza Abdel Karim, Egyptian Haaland. Any thoughts? He's looking good with the Juvenil. He's looking good, man. He scored a hat trick the other day. I mean, that's pretty impressive. But, we have to be patient. We have to see how he continues developing with Juvenil. We have to see how he does with Barca Athletic, which is higher level. And then we'll see how he starts training with the first team. Right now, he looks very promising. He's very tall. He's very strong, fast, really good goal instinct. But, of course, he's only 18. He has no experience whatsoever. He came from the Egyptian league. And even in the Egyptian league, he had only had a few matches in first division. So right now, it's too early. We need to, give him his time, allow him to grow, allow him to develop, and then see where he goes. And if he ends up being, the next best thing or the next Haaland, that'd be amazing. And if not, that's okay. We didn't spend, or we're not set to spend too much money on him because he's currently on loan. The option to buy, I think, is worth 2.5 or 3 mil. So we'll see. Let's see. Jose says, good evening, Mo. Please, is the new question mark are going for Alvarez? I think here. Please, what's the news? Are we going for Alvarez or Osimhen? Alvarez. Osimhen is not a priority. Barcelona consider that he has too many, how to put this delicately, attitude problems. Let's put it that way. Barcelona consider that Osimhen has too many attitude problems. That could be a problem, putting him into the locker room. So Barcelona prioritize Julian. Plus, yeah, that's the number one option. Will it happen? I don't see it happening because Atletico Madrid don't want to sell him. They want a lot, and if they do, they want a lot of money for him. And, unless the player puts pressure on Atletico Madrid to leave, it's not going to happen. And I don't see Julian doing that. I don't see Julian forcing his way out of Atletico Madrid. He's just not that kind of player. He's not like a Dembele, and He's not going to do what Dembele did at Dortmund, right? When he was like, I'm not going to play. I'm not going to travel with the team. Just, I want to leave, right? I don't see him doing that. But anyway, so let's move on to the next bit of news, because as you know by now, or at least if you watch yesterday's video, you know by now that Pini Zahavi, the super agent, is currently in Barcelona addressing two key contract renewals. The first one is that of Hansi Flick, because Barcelona want to extend the contract of Flick until 2028 with an optional year until 2029. Flick had said, yes, I want to renew, but that was just a verbal agreement. There was no actual discussion or negotiation as far as the details of the contract, salary, et cetera, et cetera. So Pini Zahavi is currently in Barcelona to negotiate with Barcelona the contract renewal of Flick. And of course, he's also there to see what's going on with Lewy, because Barcelona, want to extend the contract of Lewandowski by one more season with a much more reduced salary. So Barcelona got to make the offer to Zahavi. Zahavi's going to relay it to Lewandowski, and then they're going to decide. Zahavi's also going to relay the Juventus' offer, which is a 2-season contract, because before arriving in Barcelona, Pini Zahavi was actually in Italy meeting with Juventus. So Zahavi in Barcelona discussing Flick and Lewandowski with Barcelona, and while he was meeting with the club, he has been pushing the signing of one of his other clients, who's no other than Luka Vuskovic. Now, we've talked about Luka Vaskovic several times on the channel. If you don't know by now, he's a 19-year-old Croatian center back. He is currently on loan to Hamburg in the Bundesliga from Tottenham. He's a Tottenham player. Tottenham signed him, I think it was last summer, if I'm not mistaken. They signed him for 11 million euros from Hajduk Split. Luka Vaskovic came up through Hajduk Split. So Tottenham signed him last summer, and being that he was 18 years old, no experience, they decided to immediately send him out on loan. So they signed him, boom, they sent him on loan to Hamburg. And now at Hamburg, Luka Vaskovic's value has skyrocketed, because this season he has been the best center back in the entire Bundesliga. And his market value went up from 15 million euros to 60 million euros in only a few months. A crazy increase in his market value, something that only very few players have managed to do in history, right? And usually it's been the likes of Lamine, Mbappe, those kind of players whose value just overnight just skyrockets, right? That's been Luka Vuskovic, which is pretty impressive because he's a center back, right? Usually when you see a value of a player skyrocket in a few months, it's usually forwards, attackers, maybe midfielders, right? Because they start doing crazy things. They're scoring goals. They're dribbling past players, and the market goes nuts. Remember Jokic? Which, by the way, I told y'all, when everybody was like, Jokic, I was like, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I was right. But anyways, so the fact that his value skyrocketed so quickly, despite being a center back, despite being at Hamburg, because right, it's easy if you get signed by Madrid or Barca for your value to skyrocket, but to be signed by Hamburg on loan and as a center back and to see your value go from 15 to 60 million, well, that tells you a lot of things. Mainly that, well, Luka Vuskovic is a great center back with lots and lots of potential because, of course, he's only 19 years old. So he's nowhere near as good as he could be. Now, Vuskovic is not left-footed, which is what Barcelona are looking for, but he does mainly play on the left. He can also play on the right. He is physically imposing center back who's very strong defensively and in the air. But, and here is what Barcelona is always looking for in center backs, he's also technically gifted. So he's good with the ball at his feet. He's good building from the back. Pretty well-rounded center back, the kind of center back that Barcelona are always looking for. Now, Luka Vuskovic has been on Barcelona's radar for quite some time. They've been watching him. They've even sent scouts to his matches. And now Pini Zahavi is, well, trying to convince Barcelona to sign him. Now, as you know, Barcelona's number one priority for the center back position is Bastoni. Bastoni has already agreed to come to Barcelona. The problem is, of course, that Inter Milan wants 70 million euros. And for now, Barcelona are not making any offers for Bastoni until they figure out what happens with the center forward, right? Because Barcelona have a budget of 150 million, and they first want to know how much whoever center forward they end up choosing will cost. And based on that, they'll know how much money they have left over and whether they can make an offer for Bastoni or not. So this is where Pini Zahavi comes in and is like, hey, you can sign this guy for less than Bastoni if Tottenham get relegated, right? Tottenham are currently in the relegation zone. There's 3 matches left in the Premier League. And if they end up relegated, even though Luka Vaskovic's market value is 60 million, they're saying he can end up leaving for 30. Which, if that becomes the case, remember, this can only happen if Tottenham get relegated. If they don't, there's no way we're going to be able to sign Luka Vaskovic for anything less or even equal to his market value, because they're saying Tottenham are trying to keep him at all costs. In fact, Tottenham want to offer him a huge increase in his salary so he can stay. But of course, if they get relegated, he's out of there, right? And they're going to be forced to sell players because in second division, they're going to make a fraction of what you make in the Premier. So you have to get rid of these big salary players, even though Luka's not really a big salary player, but definitely not a salary that you can afford being in second division. So not only Luka would want to leave, because why would he want to play in second division, but also Tottenham will be forced to sell most of their big players, big names, because they're not going to be able to pay their salary. So if Tottenham get relegated, his value or his transfer fee could drop to 30 mil, which if that happens, I say this is a no-brainer. Sign him ASAP. I will start a GoFundMe myself and collect those 30 million myself and transfer them to Barcelona to make this happen. But again, it has to go. Tottenham have to be relegated. So that's the news. Pini Zahavi trying to convince Barcelona to sign Luka Vaskovic. But of course, Barcelona not going to pay 60 million for a 19-year-old. If we're going to pay 60 million, might as well pay him for Bastoni. Someone who's prime, someone who has experience, someone who can come and help our backline, also gain more experience by learning from him. But for 30 million for Vaskovic, no-brainer, 100%. But of course, I want to hear what you guys think. Luka Vaskovic, yes, no, maybe. Let me know why in the chat section or in the comment section if you're watching this once it ends. And let's get back to the comment section, and then we're going to talk about Bradley Barcola. Oui, monsieur. All right, let's see. Gold CJ says, hey, Mo, my dream transfer window would be Joao Pedro with Krupi as backup with Bastoni, Joao Cancelo for the defense, and then Barcola to take over the left wing. I know it's highly unlucky, but yeah. Well, it's not highly unlikely. It's pretty much impossible. You know, Joao Pedro is not for sale, and they're saying if Chelsea would consider selling him, it would be something for 80, 90 million. Krupi, they're saying it would be also 90 million. So that right there is 180 between the two. Bastoni, Inter 170. That puts us at 260 million. Cancelo, if we agree to pay the 15 for Al Hilal. Wait, how much were we at? I forgot. It was 90, 90, 180, 180 and 70, 160, 160 and 15, 275. Sorry, 275 million. Yeah, so it's not that it's highly unlikely. It's pretty much impossible because we don't have that money. Let's see. Blaurana X says, yo, Mo. Oh, wait. I already read that. Joseph says, good evening, Mo. Oh, wait. I also read that. What's wrong with me? I can't figure out where I left off. JK says, hi, Mo. Great to catch you today. Hello from Sydney. All right, all the way from Sydney. Let's go. I'm loving it seeing Madrid trying to hire Jose Mourinho, bring it on Vizca Barça. Honestly, I have two wishes for Real penalties. A, that they keep Arbeloa. That's my number one priority. And the second wish is that if they don't keep Arbeloa, is for them to bring Jose Mourinho. Either one is a win-win for Barcelona. So hopefully that remains the two choices. Hopefully they don't try to bring someone else. Because look, if Arbeloa stays, Arbeloa is not a coach, right? That's why in Spanish they call him cono or cone, because he's not really a coach. He's not there to coach. He's not there to do anything. Since he took on the job, he decided, okay, that this locker room got Ancelotti fired and got Xabi Alonso fired. So he was like, all right, I don't want them to get me fired. So what I'm going to do is just kiss their asses. And that's what Arbeloa is doing. He's just pandering to them. He's letting them do what they want, and that's it, right? So he's not really coaching. He's just a puppet. He's just there. He's just, all right, I'm here. That's why in Spanish they call him con, right? Cono, because he's not really doing anything. And while he's also being the team's little bitch or mascot by just letting them do whatever they want and just agreeing with them and defending them in the press conferences, he's also being Florentino Perez's little bitch, right? Because he's like, oh, I also got to cozy up to the boss. So that's all he is. He's just a puppet. He's just a cone, right? A slimy figure who will drag himself all over the floor just to keep that job, which is pretty pathetic if you ask me. Like, have some self-respect, right? That's one of like my pet peeves when I meet people like that, or just willing to drag themselves through the floor. Just, it's like, bro, like, fuck is wrong with you? Like, do you not respect yourself? Do you not love yourself? Like, have some pride, have some dignity. Like, what are you doing? But anyways, and as far as Jose Mourinho, we're talking about a guy who's finished. Jose Mourinho hasn't been relevant for a very long time, right? I mean, this is not the same Jose Mourinho from 20 years ago that won the Champions League with Porto, or was it Porto or Benfica? I can't remember. Or Chelsea. This is not the same Jose Mourinho. This is a completely different Jose Mourinho. This is Jose Mourinho that since he coached Barcelona. I mean, he did coach Barcelona, by the way. He was Barca Athletic. I don't know. He was in Barcelona for a while, and then he got mad when Pep Guardiola got promoted to the first team over him, and that's when he left. But anyways, this is not the same Jose Mourinho, right? This is a Jose Mourinho that hasn't been the same since he left Real Madrid, right? Because he's been on a decline since then. He's been fired from I think out of the last 6 or 7 clubs he's managed, he's been fired from every single one of them. And even when he was at Real Madrid, when he was still relevant, he still got his ass kicked by Pep Guardiola left and right. So bring it. I'm for either one. I would prefer Arbeloa because, again, that guy is just a cone. But, hey, bring it. But anyways, we do have a donation. Let's fucking go. Raymond, thank you so much, my friend, for your generosity. That is an incredibly, incredibly generous donation. Thank you so much. For some reason, my software never shows these, but I know what pair you're showing. But just in case, I will, right here. I will show it because this is going to be weird. It's going to be like Inception. Me watching me, watching me, watching me. Here we go. And skip. There we go. It's this right here. I love it. It's a pair that's flying on a missile and it's wearing a bandana. Well, thank you so much, my friend. That is absolutely incredibly generous. I really, really appreciate it. If you wanted to also add a comment, please do below. I will make sure to read it. But thank you again for this incredibly generous donation and for the awesome pair that's riding a rocket with its head bandana. Oh, and here we go. Raymond did write a comment, said, thank you so much for all your effort and enthusiasm reporting Barca news. You are the man. Thank you. I appreciate it. It definitely is my passion. When I started this channel, I started it for 2 reasons, and you might have heard me say this before, but as a Barca fan, I didn't really become super involved in the news of the club until maybe 2019, 2018, around there, like the Bartomeu years, right? Because before I was a fan, but I was just a fan that watched the games and that was it, right? I didn't really know who was the president or who was the board members or what were these people doing or anything like that, right? I just cared about the matches and who Barcelona signed and who Barcelona sold. But during the Bartomeu years, I started seeing, like, what is happening with Barca? Like, we're doing some weird stuff, like signing Arthur and signing... remember when we exchanged Arthur for, what was that guy from Juventus? Forgot his name, the midfielder. And it's like, that makes no sense at all. We just changed this, like, 23-year-old Brazilian. We swapped him for like this 30-some-year-old midfielder. It's like Barcelona was doing some weird stuff. And I was like, all right, that's when I started getting involved in trying to figure out like what's going on, not just on the pitch, but in the offices, right? In the boardroom of Barcelona. And I noticed when I started getting involved is that for me to get a full picture of what was going on, I used to have to go to different media sources, right? Because one media source might have one news, this other media source might have a different news, and this one different. And you know, if there was 10 stories about Barcelona that day, you might have to go to 5 different media outlets because each one of them has different stories, right? And I would spend so much time chasing the stories, reading so many publications. And I was like, why isn't there one place, just one place that you can go to and get all your news versus going to different outlets? And I decided, well, if I can't find it, why not become it, right? I mean, I'm already spending all this time looking for stories and doing my research. Why not make it easier for other people who don't have the time to go and read 5, 6, 7 different publications? Let me bring them the news from everywhere and put it in a video. You can watch the video, get your news, and go about your day, right? And the second reason why I wanted to do this is because, I noticed there's, for some reason, sport journalism, is different from regular journalism, right? It's not as much, it's not as stringent, and it's like people and I don't know if this is sport journalism everywhere or just in Spain, but I've noticed that the standards are much, much lower for sports journalism in Spain, where people just post whatever they want. And if it's a lie, oh, well, they just move on to the next story and the next story and the next story. And they don't care to verify. They don't care to double or triple check. They just want to get the news out there. And I was like, that's not cool, right? Because like how many stories during the day do you come across that says, oh, Barcelona will sign, I don't know, Mbappe or like some crazy shit. And you're like, oh, Barcelona decided to sell Lamine to PSG. Or I remember one time I came across a story. It's like, oh, Lamine tells Barcelona he wants to play for Real Madrid. And it's like, I mean, those ones obviously are easy to say, okay, that's obviously bullshit. But there's other stories where you're like, okay, that sounds like it's true. So, that's the second reason why I wanted to do the channel where Pjanic, thank you. Someone said Pjanic, thank you. I wanted to create kind of like a channel where I'm not just going to bring you some crazy story just for the clicks. I mean, I'm sure every now and then I might give you a story that ends up being bullshit, but it's not because I wanted to get clicks, and it definitely was not because lack of effort of double checking it, because every news that I bring you, I double, triple, quadruple check it to make sure it's real. And I'm sure every now and then one of them is going to end up being bullshit, but again, it's not going to be lack of effort, and it's definitely not going to be because I decided, oh, let me just make something up out of my ass because I just want clicks and likes and subscriptions, right? That's not me. As you know, this is not my main source of income. This is actually hardly a source of income. I barely make any money off this channel. So I'm not doing this because I'm trying to make money or anything. I got my career. I pay my bills thanks to my career. So I don't need to bring you the fake stories. I don't need to make up some fucking news story just so you can be like, oh, let's click on it and I can make money off of it, because I don't need to do that, right? I'm not paying my bills from YouTube, so I don't have that desire to, I need people to watch it. So there's nothing interesting. Okay, let me make something up. So anyways, but I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much for your donation. And we have another donation. Let's fucking go. Thank you so much, Blaurana X, for your donation, who says, Visca Barca News. Blessing to everyone in the chat and subscribers. Amen, my friend. Thank you again. And yes, blessings to all my Barca News family watching live or watching this later. It don't matter. Blessings, blessings, blessings. May they double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, but blessings for everyone. All right, let's do the next bit of news, and then we'll do more comments. But let's do the next bit of news, because we do have to talk about at least the big news for me, which is regarding this guy, Bradley Barcola. Oui, monsieur. Bradley Barcola, because Barcelona are, ladies and gentlemen, weighing a move for the 23-year-old French winger who currently is playing at PSG. And you might say, Mo, what are you talking about? This is one of those stories that you told us that you would never do just to get likes and subscriptions or like clickbaits. Hold on a second. There we go. No, that's not the case because, believe it or not, Barcola is considering leaving PSG this summer. And you might say, why would anyone want to leave PSG? They just won a sextuple, a historical sextuple. And it looks like they're on their way winning another Champions League, 2 back-to-back. So why would anyone want to leave a successful team that's absolutely killing it? Right now, they are the best team in Europe, in the entire world, honestly. Well, the reason that Barcola is considering leaving this summer is because he's no longer a starter under Luis Enrique, right? Between the rise of Doué and Dembele and Kvaratskhelia being the monsters that they are, the beasts that they are, Barcola has been mostly relegated to the bench where he has become more of an impact substitute, right? And a substitute that you bring in the last 30 minutes to change things, right? When things are not going your way. So this, of course, has made Barcola unhappy because, well, all players want to be starters. All players want to play all 90 minutes and they don't want to be subs, especially when you're as good as Barcola. And as such, Barcola is considering leaving this summer transfer market. Now, they're saying PSG would not be opposed to him leaving because he's not a definitive starter, right? They have Doué, they have Kvaratskhelia, they have Dembele. So it's not like they're losing one of those three. They're losing a guy who, sure, is good, but he's not a starter for them. Now, how much would the Parisians want for Barcola? And this is the big bombshell to me because they're saying that Barcola could leave in exchange for 70 million euros, which is a lot of money, but not when you take into consideration how good is Barcola. In fact, that's pretty cheap because you compare someone like Anthony Gordon, they're saying Newcastle want at least 90 million. And honestly, between Anthony Gordon and Barcola, I would take Barcola any day of the week, especially for 70 million euros. Now, where does the problem lie? Well, it lies in, he costs 70 million euros. And how is this a problem? Because you're like, Mo, you just said that's super cheap for someone as good as Barcola. Yes, but not for someone as broke as we are. Because, as you might recall from the many videos I've talked about this, Barcelona's budget is 150 million this summer. The priorities in order is the center forward, the center back, and the left wing. The center forward, Barcelona know is going to cost a lot of money, 90 to 100 mil. They know that. They're prepared to pay that. Then, number 2, center back, if we end up signing, let's say Bastoni and Barcelona get their way and sign him for 50 mil, there goes the whole budget, right? So, how can Barcelona sign Barcola then if the budget most likely is going to be blown on a center forward and a center back? Well, this is where sales could make a difference. If Barcelona sell players, they could end up being able to get enough money to pay for Barcola. But of course, that's a big if, right? Because the players who would generate the most money right now, like Koundé, like Ferran, these are players who don't want to leave. So, is Barcola possible? Not likely. Is it impossible? No. It's just going to depend on whether Barcelona can sell players this summer transfer market. If they can, Barcola could be a signing. That's possible. And if it is, honestly, in my opinion, this will be one of the most successful summer transfer markets in the last few years because Barcola is an absolute beast. He's someone who can play on both sides. He can use both legs comfortably. And he can even play as a false 9. And this season, despite being a substitute, he's been able to score 12 goals and provide 9 assists. A pretty impressive player. Now, there's another problem, of course, that there's other clubs like Arsenal and Liverpool who are interested in him. They've even contacted his agent, Musa Sissoko, already. And of course, those clubs have much, much more money than us. They would be able to pay his price, no problem. So, makes things more difficult. But again, not impossible. Unlikely, but not impossible. We're going to have to wait and see what happens come this summer. And here is where Mo, playing FIFA Manager, comes in. Because if Barcelona end up signing Vlahovic on a free transfer, and if Tottenham get relegated and we bring in Luka Vaskovic for 30 mil, well, now we're talking, because now we would have enough money to sign Barcola without selling players. And if we end up selling players, then great, that's extra money. Maybe we can bring a fullback. I'm just saying. Maybe this is just my wishful thinking because, bro, I would love to have Barcola on the team. Can you imagine Lamine on the right, Barcola on the left, and whoever we sign for the center forward? Ooh. I would like to see that happen. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. Barcola, would you like to see him at Barcelona? Or you're like, bro, I'm tired of French players between Griezmann and Dembele, and Umtiti. Oh, shit, I just realized that. Yeah, we've had a lot of bad experience with French players. Now Koundé, who has decided that running is not his thing. Anyways, let me know what you guys think, but I would definitely scoop up Barcola for 70 mil. But anyways, let's get back to the comment section, and then we are going to talk about Nathan Acke. Yes, we're going to talk about him again because he is still a possibility. Where did we leave off? Blacka says, hey, Mo, can you say hi to my daughter? Is it Kyra? Hi, Kyra. It's Kyra, right? I hope I didn't butcher her name because that would really suck if I say hi and butcher her name. Musa says, hi, Mo. Hope you're doing okay. What do you think about signing a left winger, and who's your preferred option? I mean, we need to sign a left winger, right? He is on the list. Since we just talked about Barcola, bro, bring Barcola. Marcelino says, Mo, what is your take on WWE going on with Fraudistas? It is long overdue. I mean, it's culmination of what this locker room has been for the past 2 years, because this locker room has been absolute anarchy, right? These players think they're above the club. These players think they can do whatever the hell they want. These players have gotten Ancelotti sacked. They've gotten Xabi Alonso sacked. And I'm not surprised because, and honestly, people want to blame Mbappe and they want to sign that petition to see him out. But that's not Mbappe's fault. The fault lies in Florentino Perez because he's let the locker room dictate how the club operates. He's let these players do whatever the hell they want. And if Florentino Perez has half the balls that he used to have, he would march in there and say, this is your coach, whoever it is, you're going to listen to him. If you don't want to listen to him, I will sell you tomorrow, or I will put you in the stands. I don't give a fuck who you are. If you're Mbappe, if you're Vinicius, if you're Birmingham, I don't care who you are. You either play for the team and the badge and the colors, or you're going to the stand. And guess what? World Cup is right around the corner. He should have done that a while back. Can you imagine not taking advantage of that situation? Because in any other season, you might do that, and maybe the player says, okay, I don't care, I'll sit in the stands. But nobody's going to say, okay, I'll sit in the stands in a World Cup year. Nobody. And the fact that they didn't use that to their advantage tells me that Florentino Perez has completely lost it. Because I would have definitely marched in there like, it's World Cup year, guys. You don't want to play? You want to think that you're the boss here, that you want to do whatever the fuck you want, that you want to not listen to your coach? Stands. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much your salary is. I don't care how much we paid for you in transfer fee. You're sitting on the stands. and watch how they would all fall in line. Because who's going to want to sit in the stands when it's the World Cup? Because guess what? You sit in the stands, your team is not going to call you. Mukomo says, Mo, greet my daughter, Caitlin. She likes your show. Hi, Caitlin. Thank you for liking the show. I hope I didn't curse too much this time around. I probably did. I curse a lot. I need to change that. Koroma says, I'm here again for the great news of Real penalties fighting themselves. Yeah, man. What a mess. They're saying now, by the way, because originally it was like, oh, Tchouaméni punched Valverde and he fell to the ground and he lost consciousness because he hit his head, so he had to go to the hospital. But now they're Iñaki Angulo, who's very close to the club. He's like this independent reporter who has his YouTube channel. Probably one of the very few journalists left with some integrity that are close to the Real Madrid circle or part of the Real Madrid circle. He's saying it's actually more serious than that. He's saying it wasn't just a punch. He's saying Tchouaméni beat the crap out of him, and that Valverde's face is all cut up and bruised. So it looks to see more serious, which I don't condone violence, and I don't think anybody deserves to be getting the crap beat out of them. But Valverde needed to learn his lesson. Remember, he punched Alex Baena in the stadium. No investigation, no suspension, nothing. Then he punched that Benfica player. No red card, no yellow card, no suspension, nothing. So that guy was going around thinking he can just punch anybody without any consequences. And well, lo and behold, he tried to fight the wrong guy and got his ass whooped. Let that be a lesson to him. You can't just go around punching people thinking that there's no consequence to your actions, because there are. And well, the consequence is you got your ass beat and you're in the hospital because you got your ass beat. Now, who I really hope gets beat up next, and again, this is horrible, Rudiger. Let's not forget, Rudiger has been unhinged for a while. Remember when he threw a bottle or ice at the referee, and he was literally being held by his teammates and looking like fucking crazy with his eyes popping. He's like, I'm going to kill you, telling the referee he was going to kill him. Then when he tried to take the head off of that Getafe player by kneeing him in the face, and he even said he should be thankful I didn't kill him or he's still alive or something like that. Then he slapped Alvaro Carreras. That's another guy who's unhinged, who's going around thinking he can just punch and hurt people with no consequences. So, Tchouaméni, bro, if you want to beat up someone else, knock out Rudiger. He needs to learn his lesson too. But anyways, we do have a donation. Let's fucking go. Thank you so much, Ray, for your donation. Ray says, happy Friday, Barca fam. I just wanted to say you're my absolute favorite Barca news. I remember the first time hearing your channel, I was like, Mo is out of the line, but he's right. I like that you don't sugarcoat your opinion. Well, I appreciate that, my friend. I'm not here to sell you on anything. I'm just here to give you the news, give you my opinion. And, some people like that. Some people don't. And that's okay. That's okay. People be going crazy. They're like, well, I'm not going to watch if you get. Then don't. I'm not here to appease anyone. I'm just here to give it to you straight. And if you want to hear it, awesome. If you don't, that's fine. Some other YouTuber will tell you what you want to hear. There's always someone who's willing to say whatever the viewers want to hear. That's not me. Plus, do you really want that? That's my question to people. Do you really want that? Do you really want me to be changed? People are like, if you keep saying this, I'm going to leave. Or if you don't say that, I'm going to leave. I'm like, leave. Because I'm not going to change what I'm saying just because you don't like it, right? Because do you really want that? Can you imagine watching someone who goes, all right, Lamine is the best. Oh, you don't think so? Okay, yeah, you're right. He's not. Oh, you do? Okay, yeah, he is. Oh, no? Oh, okay, no. Do you really want that? Do you really want to watch someone spineless who just changes opinion with the wind just to appease people? I don't think you do. So be careful what you wish for, right? Because people are like, oh, if you don't say this or if you say that, I'm gonna leave. I'm like, all right, here, let me get up. Let me hold the door for you. Go. Go watch someone who's willing to say whatever the hell you want to. Plus, here's the thing. Not only is it, do you really want a guy, spineless guy who just says whatever his viewers want to hear, but do you really want to just hear what you want to hear? And what I mean is that that kind of life you want to lead, where you live in a bubble where you're only exposed to opinions that you agree with? Don't you want to hear opinions from all different from the entire different spectrum? Opinions that you agree with, opinions that you strongly agree with, opinions that you disagree with, opinions that you strongly disagree with, opinions that somewhere in the middle. Don't you want that? Isn't that better for you intellectually speaking? Like, wouldn't that be more stimulating for you to have a conversation with someone you disagree with and you can exchange ideas and debate and argue, as opposed to just going through life where everybody's just like, yeah, I agree, I agree, I agree. How boring is that? But anyways, I don't want to get into it. But appreciate, my friend. I appreciate it. Thank you for your donation. Again, very, very generous of you as always. And by the way, I'm curious, how did you hear of the channel? I'm always curious how people find the channel because, yeah, for someone watching it the first time, it's like, who the fuck is this guy? What's wrong with him? That Rebel Pilot says the fact that Real Penalties only gave out 500,000 fines to both Valverde and Chouameni as punishment is absolutely pathetic. At bare minimum, the punishment should be them being transferred, listed. I gotta say this. I don't know what the correct punishment is because honestly, I wouldn't know how to punish. I mean, I for sure, if two of my players got into a fight, I'd be like, all right, you guys are not playing. You're going to the stands because, well, what the fuck are you doing? But 500K is a lot of money. I mean, this is not your typical 10K, 5K where you're like, that's just chump change for these guys. $500,000. $500,000 is a lot of money. And honestly, hitting someone's wallet is a big deterrent, right? You know, you could tell someone they might not play. You might tell someone, I don't know, you're sitting out the next 2-3 matches, or you're sitting in the stands, or you're going to be a sub, or you're going to run 20, 30 laps. But nothing's going to hurt these guys as much as their wallet, right? I think that's usually where it hurts the most. That's why boycotting, for example, is usually the most useful key against, business practices that you don't agree with, because you hurt people's wallet and people all of a sudden start listening, right? So I don't know. Again, I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, but I know I wouldn't want to get into another fight if someone just took 500K from my bank account, I'll be like, next time someone spits in my face, like, yeah, fuck that. I'll just swipe it off. I'm not losing 500K. That's a lot of fucking money. But I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. I have no idea. I don't know what will be the right punishment, but let's hope they continue fighting. Let's do the last bit of news because, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about defenders, right? Talked about how Barcelona's number one option is Bastoni, who Barcelona are yet to make an offer to Inter Milan because they're waiting to see how much money they have left over once the center forward is signed, or they decide on which center forward they're going to go for. And if so, of course, Barcelona are in the market for option Bs, right? They're considering, all right, well, Bastoni is our number one, but if it doesn't work out, well, we're going to have to look at option B. And so far, we've discussed a lot of options B, right? Cuti Romero, if Tottenham get relegated, because he can leave for 15 to 20 mil. We're talking about Evan Endika. That's another option. And well, now we got another option. And that is an option that Barcelona have already considered. In fact, in this winter transfer market, Barcelona seriously considered it. And it's, of course, Nathan Acke, the 31-year-old Manchester City center back who has lost a lot of importance under Pep Guardiola, someone who is looking to leave Man City, and of course, someone that Barcelona could consider. Why? Because of his experience, right? He has plenty of experience in the Premier League, the best league in the world. He's an international with the Netherlands, so he's someone that can hit the ground running, right? This is not someone that's going to come to Barca and is going to need some adjustment or some time to grow or to develop or to learn. No, he's going to show up day one, hit the ground running, especially since he has trained under Pep Guardiola. So he's not even going to need an adjustment to like Flick's tactics, right? He's going to be able to hit the ground running. And because of his experience in highest competitions, he's also someone that's going to be able to handle the pressures of a big game, right? Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals or PSG in the semifinal, right? This is not someone who's going to shy away or whose inexperience is going to get the best of him, right? He's someone with lots of experience that will be able to handle the pressure, the big games, and can hit the ground running. And of course, tactically speaking, or as far as the player's qualification himself, he is someone that can build from the back, someone that's really good with the ball at his feet, someone that can participate in the attack. You know, that kind of center back that Barcelona are always looking for. That can also contribute in the build-up and in the attack. What are the problems? The problem is two things. Manchester City are not going to give any discounts. They're not in the practice of giving discounts. You know, they're going to want what they're owed for Nathan Acke. And the second, of course, he is a Premier League player, which, of course, means that his salary is high. So that's going to make it difficult for Barcelona. But nonetheless, just know that Nathan Acke is an option in case Barcelona cannot sign Bastoni. Now, if you ask me, honestly, Nathan Acke, I think it wouldn't be a bad option. I think he would be able to serve his purpose and maybe even help Pau Cubarsí and Gerard Martin learn and grow, given his experience. But it's not really an option I'm excited about, right? Because after all, we're trying to build a team for the future. And Nathan Acke is 31. He's more like towards the end of his career as opposed to someone who can come to Barca and give us many, many years, right? As an emergency, well, not as an emergency, as a kind of like a last resort, sure. Again, I think he can come to Barca, 2 seasons, help Pau Cubarsí immensely, kind of like how Inigo helped him during that 1 season. You know, help Gerard Martin, who just became a center back like yesterday, and do his job in the meantime. So yeah, as a last resort, sure, absolutely. I think he would be a good option. But is he the option that I'm most excited about? I'm like, yeah, bring Nathan again. Obviously not. I'm more excited about Bastoni. I would be more excited about Van de Ven, about Luka Vaskovic. Acke, not so much, even though, again, I think he would do a good job. This is not, he's not a bum. Let's put it that way. He's not a bum who's going to come to Barca and you're like, what is this guy doing here, right? But anyways, my friend is here. Awesome. I have my friend Victor, who's the president of the Houston Peña, and he will be staying with me this weekend. Tomorrow we're going to go meet Rivaldo because the New York City Peña is hosting Rivaldo. And then on Sunday, of course, we're going to watch the match together with the Barcelona Peña. He just he flew in tonight. Apparently, he landed already because he just rang my bell and just opened the door. So that's exciting. And I'm just going to tell someone here to open the door for him. All right. Anyways, I was wrapping it up, so his timing is actually perfect. Let's do this last donation. Let's fucking go. From Sanjok, who says, unless I see us under 1-1, I don't see us buying any top players every season. Laporta promises this, and he waits till the last minute. I mean, you're not wrong with that. The 1-1 rule will be very, very difficult to make signings because, remember, under the 1-1 rule, for every euro that you make, you can use it to sign players, right? So the 150 million euro budget, that's exactly how you're able to use. You're able to use the entire 150 million to sign players. If we're not under the 1-1 rule, let's say we're not under the 1-4 right now, but let's see we were under the 1-4. That means out of the 150 million euros, you would only be able to use a quarter, which would be, I don't know, how much is that? 30 mil, something like that. Yeah, 30 million. So all of a sudden your budget gets reduced from 150 to 30. That's a big problem. I mean, what are we going to sign for 30 mil? Me? Obviously not. But you get it. You get it. Anyways, let's do a couple more comments and then we'll wrap this up. Let me see. Sulaiman, who says, hello, Mo. How are you doing today? It feels good to know that we could become the champions this Sunday in front of Madrid, Bisca Barca. What's the update with the UFC? It really is. It really is. It's very, very exciting. Again, it will be historic. Historic. I mean, I don't think people grasp the magnitude of becoming champions by beating Real Madrid in our own stadium in the first El Clasico match since the Camp Nou reopened. And for the first time in history. I mean, that's huge. We're not talking about just becoming champions. We're talking about becoming champions by beating our arch rivals in our home stadium. That's massive. It's huge. I really hope it happens because I think it will be a day that every Barca fan will remember. You know, in 10, 20 years, we'll be asking ourselves or asking each other, like, where were you when Barcelona beat Madrid and became champions at the Camp Nou? Oh, I remember that day. I was, I don't know, my grandma's house. I was banging my girlfriend. We were watching the match. What were we doing it? You know, I think that's exciting. I think that's exciting. But anyways, let's do one last comment and then we'll wrap this up. Francisco says, soccer is also business, just like the owners have the right to sell a player, just like a player has the right to do whatever is best for them. Yeah, of course, of course. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of times we forget that football players are just employees and clubs are just employers, right? We forget that because it's football, it's a sport, and, you know, it comes with all the TV and the glamour and blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's an employer-employee relationship. And the employer is going to look out for their own best interest, how I can pay the least to this guy, and the employee is going to do the opposite. He's going to look out the best for him, how much I can get out of this employer, right? So, opposing interests, but that's just the nature of it. Anyways, that is all. That is all. Thank you so much for tuning in. I might post a video later tonight. I'm not sure, but if I do, you'll see it. Of course, tomorrow, news videos, and Sunday, El Clasico. So fucking excited. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Bisca Barca.